Chapter 4. Finding Maxine Lucas. Madison went to the library after school on Tuesday. Daniel was already there. They asked about the old newspapers, but the librarian couldn't help. The library didn't have newspapers from 1979. They went home and went onto the internet. They looked for information about Maxine Lucas. There were pages and pages about people with that name, but they didn't see any information about a Maxine Lucas from Colby. "It will take months to go through all these," sighed Madison. "Yes, it isn't much help. Maybe we need to try something else," said Daniel. "Maybe we need to give up and do something else," said Madison. "I have to do some basketball practice today. It's a big game for me on Saturday." Daniel looked at the computer screen and then said, "What about the phone book? We can find the Lucases from Colby in there." "And then what?" asked Madison. "We call them," answered Daniel. "Oh, Daniel, we can't," said Madison. "We don't know them." "Okay, you don't want to? Well, you can play basketball," said Daniel. "But I'm going to look in the phone book." He got up and went out of the room. A minute later, he came back in with the phone book. He sat down and found the right page. "Here we are, Lucas. There are about 30 people here. That's not bad. We can call 30 people. What do you think?" Madison looked at her brother and sighed. "Well, okay." "Good," said Daniel. "But what do we say to them?" Daniel picked up a piece of paper and a pencil. "We're doing a project for school. A history project on the history of our town. The project has to be on something from 30 years ago. And we've decided to find out about Maxine Lucas. What happened to her?" "But maybe it was a murder, Daniel. We can't ask questions about that. People won't want to talk about it." "We have to try, Madison, or we'll never find out." "Well, I'm not sure," said Madison. "You do the talking." "Okay, give me the phone," said Daniel. "I'll call the first one." He called the number and they waited. Then he spoke. "Hello, my name's Daniel Monroe. You don't know me, but I'm doing a school project on the history of our town. I'm calling you because I want to find out about someone called Maxine Lucas. You see, your name's Lucas. Well, you know that, of course. But I wondered, do you, or did you ever, know anyone with that name?" "It's Maxine Lucas." "You don't?" Daniel looked at Madison and shook his head. "Oh, well, I'm sorry to bother you, sir. Thank you. Goodbye." He put down the phone and said, "No luck. He doesn't know anyone called Maxine Lucas." "But that wasn't hard, was it? You try the next one." "Okay," said Madison, and she called the next number. 25 minutes later, she said, "Well, no luck yet. We've spoken to 7 people, and no one knows a Maxine Lucas. Let's stop for today. I need a break, and Mum will be home soon. I don't want her to know about this. Do you want something to drink?" "Yes, please. Then I'll come out and play basketball with you. I need some fresh air." "Okay. We can call some more people tomorrow after school," said Madison. On Wednesday afternoon, they sat down to call some more people. "No luck with the first 7 yesterday," said Daniel. Maybe today someone will know Maxine Lucas. They took it in turns to call people on the list. Madison went first, and then Daniel did the next one. He started to talk to someone and then waved across the table at Madison. "You do know a Maxine Lucas?" he asked. "She played basketball here in the 1970s. She's your second cousin? Oh, that's great." He held his thumb up to his sister. "Yes, sir. No, I understand. You don't want to give us her number. No, we don't want to upset her. We just want to talk to her about those times." Madison was on her feet in front of Daniel. "What's he saying?" she whispered. "Is he going to let us talk to her?" Daniel held his finger up to his lips. "Yes, sir, that's a good idea. I'll give you my number and you can call us back. It's 925-3501. Yes, that's right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lucas. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you." He put the phone down and smiled at Madison. Okay, calm down," he said. "Maxine Lucas is alive and well, but she doesn't live in this town anymore. He's her second cousin. He'll talk to her and tell her about us." "When is he going to ask her? When is he going to call us back?" asked Madison. "In a few days," said Daniel. Madison nodded and smiled. She looked at the list of names again and said, "We were lucky." Then she said, "Oh, what is it?" asked Daniel. "Oh, nothing. It's just that he's number 9 on the list," said Madison. "Ooh, spooky number 9, said Daniel. Madison laughed and threw her cushion at Daniel's head. On Friday evening, Madison and Daniel were in the kitchen. "How are you feeling about your big game tomorrow?" asked Daniel. "Nervous," said Madison. "I just have to start playing better, but Just then, the phone rang. Daniel answered it and then waved a hand at Madison. "Mr. Lucas, thank you for calling back," he said. Madison went and stood beside Daniel. "You've talked to her? Oh, that's good," he said, and nodded at Madison. "Yes, we'll be very happy to meet her." "Yes, of course." "Oh, I see. Yes, I understand. Oh, I'll just get a pen and paper." Madison passed him some paper and a pen and whispered, "What's he saying?" Daniel wrote something on the paper. "Thank you very much, Mr. Lucas. That's great. No, I understand. We are really looking forward to meeting her. Please tell her that. Thank you. Goodbye." Daniel put the phone down. "Well?" asked Madison. "What did he say?" "She's going to meet us," said Daniel. "Next week, on Wednesday at 4 p.m. at Mimo's Cafe in the mall." "That's great," said Madison. "She doesn't often come back here," said Daniel, "but she'll be in town next Wednesday, and she'll meet us then." Chapter 5. The Meeting. The next Wednesday, they stood outside the cafe. "Okay, are you ready?" asked Daniel. "Well, yes," said Madison. "But, Daniel, we aren't doing a school project. We'll have to tell her that. Will she be angry with us?" "I don't know," said Daniel. "But there's only one way to find out." He pushed open the door. They walked into the cafe and looked around. "Look, Over in the corner. Is that her? Asked Madison. Daniel looked over to the table in the corner. A woman sat there with a cup of coffee. Yes, he said. I remember her face from the photo. She looked up and saw them. They smiled at her, and she waved back. Hello, she said. Are you Madison and Daniel? Yes, we are, the two of them said together. I'm Maxine Lucas. Please come and sit down. Madison and Daniel sat down at the table. The waitress came over, and the two of them ordered hot chocolates. So, you're working on a school project? Asked Maxine Lucas. Well, not really, said Madison quickly. Oh, but Michael said, it's not a project, but we want to ask you some questions, said Daniel. Questions? Said Maxine. We've just moved to Colby, and I've joined a basketball team, said Madison. The Colby Raiders. Oh, really? I used to play for the Raiders, said Maxine. I know. I wear the number 9 jersey, said Madison. Oh, that was my jersey, said Maxine. But I don't understand. Why do you want to talk to me? Well, Madison didn't know where to start. I used to be a very good player, but then I joined the Raiders and I've been playing really badly. The coach isn't happy with me. I have to play better or I'll be out of the team. But how can I help you with that? Asked Maxine. Madison is having a hard time in the team, said Daniel. Some of the girls aren't very friendly and they talk behind Madison's back. There are stories about the number 9 jersey. It's unlucky, or that's what people say. The number 9 jersey is unlucky? Why? Asked Maxine. Well, said Madison, because a girl disappeared in 1979. Something happened to her. Maybe it was a murder. She stopped. She suddenly felt very silly. Daniel helped his sister. It was you, Maxine. We want to ask you about 1979. What happened to you? Maxine was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I didn't disappear. I ran away. She stopped, and Madison saw tears in her eyes. Maxine took a deep breath and carried on. I ran away from home. At the time, I was very unhappy. My parents wanted to get a divorce. And then at basketball, one of the girls was very nasty to me. It was really bad. That made me more unhappy. But I didn't tell my parents. I felt very alone, so I ran away. But it wasn't easy. I had nowhere to go. Maxine stopped again. This time tears fell from her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't want to upset you, said Madison gently. What happened? Asked Daniel. I lived on the street. Well, I slept down by the river. There was a group of us, all young people. We took care of each other. Wasn't that very hard? Said Madison. She thought about her warm bed. It was horrible, horrible. I was scared all of the time. It was very cold, and there were bad people around too, said Maxine. How long did you live there? Asked Madison. For 3 months, said Maxine. Then one night there was a bad fight. I was very scared. And that was it. I didn't want to be there another minute. The next morning I got up and left. I went to find my aunt. She was pleased to see me. I don't think I ever really thought about my parents. I hurt them very badly. Madison said, "I'm sorry, you don't have to talk about this." She wanted to cry too. No, it's okay. It's good to talk about it," said Maxine. I stayed with my aunt for a while. Then my mother decided to move out of Colby. There was a lot of talk, a lot of gossip. She found a new place to live, and I went to live with her. I went to a new school. We started a new life. It was better, much better. The only mistake I made was giving up basketball. At the time, I didn't want to play anymore, and I never wanted to see Anita, the nasty girl, again. But I loved playing basketball. It was silly to give it up. "I love it too," said Madison. The waitress brought Madison and Daniel's hot chocolates. The three of them sat and drank without speaking. Madison thought about Maxine's story. It was sad. Then Maxine asked, "Are the Raiders still a good team?" "Oh, yes, they have some great players," said Madison. "Eva is very good, but she doesn't like me. She's nasty to me." "What does the coach do about it?" asked Maxine. "Have you told him?" "No, I haven't. She's his daughter, you see. I don't think he likes me very much anyway." Daniel said, "There's a picture of the team in this week's Colby News." He went to a table near the front of the cafe and picked up a newspaper. He opened the paper and looked for the story. They played a big game on Saturday. "Oh, Daniel, don't talk about that," said Madison. "I played badly again." "Yes, here it is," said Daniel, and he showed the newspaper story to Maxine. She read the article and then looked at the picture of the team. In the corner was a smaller picture of the coach with his daughter Eva and his wife. Maxine's face went white. "What's wrong, Maxine?" asked Daniel. "Are you okay?" "That's her. That's Anita." She pointed to the picture of the coach's wife. "She's older, of course, but that's her." She looked at the names under the picture. "Yes, Anita. And that's Jack Roberts. I know him. He used to play in the boys' team. He was the captain." Well, they got married. And now they have a daughter, and she is bullying you." Maxine shook her head. "Oh, she's just unfriendly. She doesn't say much to me. Just the thing about the jersey, really." "Well, there's nothing wrong with the number 9 jersey," said Maxine. "I loved my jersey. I played well. And you can too." They finished their drinks and got up to pay. "Thank you for meeting us," said Madison. "I didn't want to upset you. I was curious, but I didn't really think about you and your story. I'm sorry." Maxine put her hand on Madison's arm. "No, thank you. It's been good to talk to you. I never really talked about it with my mother. She didn't like to. I'm glad to have met you. Please don't feel bad." "Well, there's nothing wrong with the number 9 jersey. We know that now," said Daniel. "Of course there isn't," said Maxine. "You play your best and be sure to stand up to Eva. That's the only way to stop her. Don't make my mistake. I needed to stand up to Anita." She stopped and thought for a moment. "I need to stand up to Anita." She gave Madison a hug and left. Chapter 6. Lucky Number 9. On Saturday morning, Madison sat on her bed to put on her basketball shoes. She felt sick. Daniel put his head around her door and said, "Hi, are you ready for the game?" "No," said Madison. "I feel sick." "Well, be sick on Eva's shoes," laughed Daniel. "Come on, we're leaving in 10 minutes. "That's a big help, thanks," said Madison. She left her parents and Daniel in the car park and went to get ready. The office door was open. The coach was in there, and his wife was there too. He was angry. Another person was in there, but Madison couldn't see who it was. She walked past the office and looked back. Then she stopped. Maxine Lucas was in the office with the coach. Madison quickly looked again. Maxine was talking calmly. Madison put her head down and walked quickly to the changing rooms. She didn't want them to see her. "What is Maxine doing here?" she thought. "Why is the coach angry? Please don't tell him about our meeting, Maxine, or I'll be in the B team for sure." She wanted to stay in the changing room, but she had to play this game, and she had to play well. She sighed and walked out of the changing room with her head up high. She went to the corner of the basketball court where her teammates were getting ready. "I wonder, will the number 9 jersey bring you bad luck today?" said Eva nastily. Madison turned and looked at her. She remembered Maxine's words. Be sure to stand up to Eva. That's the only way to stop her. "Of course it won't," she said. "It can't, Eva. It's just a jersey." She turned away, and she heard Bella and Christine laugh. "Wow, Maxine was right," she thought. "It feels good to stand up to her." She smiled at Bella and Christine. Then the coach came over to them. "Okay, everyone," he said. "This is a big game today, and we need to win this one. I want everyone to play their best." The girls all nodded. "Well, he isn't too angry," thought Madison. The girls walked away, but the coach called her. "Madison, wait a minute, please." "This is it," she thought. "He's going to ask me to leave." "Yes, Coach," she said. Coach Roberts looked at her for a moment. He opened his mouth to say something. Then he stopped. He looked at her again and said, "Good luck today." Then he gave her a note. Madison took it. Her hand shook. She looked at the coach, but he didn't look at her. He just walked away. Madison opened the note and read it. "I loved wearing the number 9 jersey. It's lucky for some. Show them your best, and thank you. Your friend, Maxine." Madison ran onto the court and looked up at the seats. She saw Daniel and her mother and father. Then she saw Maxine come and sit next to Daniel. Maxine waved at Madison. Then she held up her thumbs. Madison smiled and waved back. She stood on the court and waited for the whistle to blow. She looked down and touched her jersey. "Come on, number 9, she said. "Lucky for some, lucky for me." The whistle blew. The game was on.